Right, this is a very, very, very quick video before I dash out the road to go and pick up my mangoes. And this one is about the importance of obedience over sacrifice. So a quick example, I saw a headline this morning, and it's about like Marcus Rashford. Obviously he's a multi-millionaire football player, and he supposedly got 5 houses. I didn't look at it, I just saw the headline. But at the same time, he's raising money for or raising money, battling with the government for free meals for children. Now it's one of these where I think if you feel strongly about it and you're in a position to do something about it, then you do something about it. So I've said on previous videos the situation with my mother, where I blocked her from being able to call me because, and I said to her, I've said it to her that, I went 10 years plus without having contact with you, so it's not important that we need to speak to one another, and so on. I don't need to go into this again. But I blocked her on Thursday, it's now Monday, and she has called every day. She can call my sister's phone. If she's tried to call me on my phone, she's not going to turn around and say, I tried to call you, but why can't I get through? The reason she's not going to do that is because she knows all about that, because she's the queen of blocking people. So there are lots of people where she's changed her phone number. She's got an identifying system where you've got to call. When you call, you're asked to say your name. Call screening, that's what they call it. You got to say your name before she'll pick up. So she is the queen of all of that. So it's just things, poetic justice, if you like. God has a sense of humor the way he goes about doing things. He does to people the thing that they do to others. As you do unto others, so it shall be done to you, kind of thing. So it's that kind of situation. So normally I would have gone to the hospital with my sister, but I said I wasn't going to go because I'm not going to wear a mask on principle. And I know that anybody who watches this video, anybody I speak to, they're going to say to me, oh, but she's your sister, you should have gone with her. Everybody is going to put aside their principles and wear the mask because, right? And it reminded me of, I was a 3-part documentary on, historical documentary on Henry VIII. And at the point where, I think it might have been episode 1, or I don't know, episode 1, yeah, it would have been before he married Anne Boleyn anyway, or around about when he broke away from the Catholic Church. And in the documentary, it was put forward that, or rather, I don't know, because I don't know how you can know what Henry VIII was doing behind closed doors, but anyway, they said he was still practicing Catholicism behind closed doors, while having established the Church of England, and he's trying to get everybody to convert to it. And he went so far as to execute his friend Thomas Cromwell. He went so far as to execute his friend because he was trying to plead with him to, just wanted him to support this new church. And he wouldn't, because as a man of principles, he's a Catholic, and he's a Catholic publicly and privately, whereas Henry VIII was a Catholic privately, but a Protestant publicly, because the church was only established so that he could marry his wife. So he could divorce his first wife and marry the second one, who he ended up executing anyway. So Fat Lotta got a good that was breaking away from the church. But all right, so what people are thinking, I know it because this is what people do. Oh, but you put aside your principles, it's your sister, you should go to the hospital with her. Listen, my sister knows what my principles are, and she agrees with me. She's quite happy to go by herself, because when it reminded me of an interview I saw with David Icke, He said he was on a ferry at the time lockdown was put into operation, where you had to wear a mask in a public place. While he was it started at midnight. He was on a ferry crossing back to the Isle of Wight, and the the captain, the skipper of the ferry, said to him, um, um, he was trying to talk him into putting on a mask for appearance's sake. He goes, I know you don't believe in it, this, that, the other, but can you just put the mask on, just for show? And David wasn't having any of it. He said, no, I'm not doing it. Principles, 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 principles matter, right? And so that's how people talk people into doing things. You've got people like pop stars and actors and actresses who hate Donald Trump, for example, and privately they don't, but this is what they've got to do, in order to keep up the appearance, to keep working, to maintain their status. They have to go against their principles and come out and say things that they don't say, and do things they don't actually support. So, when my mother called this morning, I said to her last week anyway that I'm not going to go to the hospital, because if I do, it's going to kick off. Because that time when I was on the bus and the woman asked me, where's my mask? You're not allowed to talk on a bus unless you're wearing a mask. And she herself didn't have a mask on. She just had a piece of, a crumpled up piece of used tissue covering her mouth in between talking. So she wasn't the best person to be telling me that I need to wear a mask, or telling me what I can and can't do anyway. Not that I listen to people telling me what to do. But so it was that kind of scenario. So people have bought into something, whether they believe in it or not. They would try to persuade you as well. The amount of people I've had who've said to me, oh, just put it on while you're going in the shop, just put it on while you're going on the train or whatever. That's what they do. And it's like, but if you don't support the thing, that's why things happen. This is why things spiral out of control, because there's a lot of people going along with it who don't actually support it. So yes, so because, well, where are we? So we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, today's Monday, 4 days. So on the fourth day, my mother calls. The three previous days she called, and she's going, Liz, calling me. I didn't answer because I didn't want to speak to her. But this morning, it's not because I'm avoiding her or anything why I didn't speak to her. It's that thing where you're trying to get people out of your system, because all I do is, even though I'm here and I'm the only one taking the responsibility for my sister and all of that, still people from afar, I said in a previous video, have you cooked? Have you eaten? What are you cooking? And all these kinds of questions. To the extent where I said to her, this was on the day when I blocked her. I said, if I'm not cooking, are you going to come and cook? No, I can't come because, right? So not in a position to do anything, but still, instead of being grateful that I'm here doing what I'm doing, you're still there wanting to criticize. So those 3 days where I didn't speak to her, I didn't say anything, that was me just sort of, just getting my own energy back, just getting rid of the bad energy and just allowing the good energy to come back. So this morning I said to her that I can't remember what she said, like asked me how I am or something, and I said, well, I don't, it couldn't have been that, it was something else. But I said, I don't want to speak to any of you. And she said, but I haven't been calling you because I don't want to, what was the word she used? I don't want to, hold on, I've got to find the right word. Disturb. I don't want to disturb you. Right, so she doesn't want to disturb me, but that's all you do. You follow me? All you're doing is you're trying to sort of tell me what I need to do by way of my sister and so on. That's all you ever do. So that was her. So I said, well, I don't want to speak to any of you because I have peace in my life when I don't. But immediately she thought, she said, but I haven't upset you. And this is the thing people don't get. They think that because you, in my case, when I call people, get rid of people, they assume that they've hurt my feelings in some way. No, I'm preventing you from being able to do that. That's why I get rid of you, because I have perfect peace otherwise, when I don't have to deal with people who do not share the same standards and principles. Because my mother was all about, just wrap a scarf around you, do this, do that, just sacrifice your principles, and that's not going to happen. So in order to not hear these types of voices, I get rid of, right? Just get rid of people, because I'm never going to sacrifice my principles. And I've said, I did a long post on Facebook titled Judgment Day. I said to my sister knows my principles are more important to me than she is. My principles are more important to me. You know, I can relate Thomas Cromwell, where he sooner die than pretend to be Church of England by day and Catholic by and be a practicing Catholicism privately. Not that type of person. It's like, if you're gonna kill me, then just kill me, right? So there are some people who think the most important thing in life is life itself. But what quality of life, what is, for me, I can't speak about anybody else, but I just could not imagine myself in a situation where I stand for one thing, but I'm preaching another and encouraging other people to do that thing. So typically, like I said, with Hollywood, where they some of them are secret Trump supporters, or maybe they don't have any political views, but as part of the deal of being a star, your job is that you need to go out and do propaganda, whether you believe in it or not, right? So on my part, I'm being asked to do something that I don't support, and I'm not going to do it. So what you do is you get rid of all of those people out of your life, and that way you have the peace that you want. So I said I wanted to talk about the fact that obedience is better than sacrifice. So I go back to Marcus Rashford. So he's going around being a hero, because everybody loves Marcus Rashford because they're getting something for nothing, right? Because that you read the comments, everybody think it's a wonderful thing. He's helping people. How on earth is it that you can't afford to feed your children, right? So Alex Belfield, he did a video, and he's challenging them. Let me come around your house and see how you spend your money, right? And I'll give you £500 if you can't actually feed your family, feed your children rather. And so it's a case of, what are you doing with the money? Because food isn't that expensive, really. It's not. You can make a lot go a long way. But when I say a lot, I'm talking about a big bag of potatoes can go a long way. A bag of potatoes, for example, that costs less than £2, and that's going to feed me and my sister for a week, at least a week, right? So and so on. So it is what you choose to do. It's if you make choices that have negative consequences, at least hold your hand up and say, yeah, that was my choice, and then see what you can do from there, rather than using your situation. Like, when I don't hear this so much, but that's because I don't plug into the mainstream, I suppose. You used to hear women come on the radio, I'm a single mother, and so how did you end up becoming a single mother? Or, that's just one example. But so you got somebody running around, oh, you're a single mother, let me help you. And it's like, actually, you might not actually be helping that person. You might be doing them more harm than good, because you're creating a dependency or something, like food banks, for example. What were people doing before there were food banks? So here we are now in this situation, and as I've said, I've used David Icke and Thomas Cromwell as my examples, people who stick by their principles regardless. And I decided last week that I wasn't going to go to the hospital because they're trying to force me into a mask. And I know this is the whole point. I know how people think. So even the people who would be unwilling to leave their accommodation, I haven't slept in my bed now for 4 months. And here's where I sleep, right here on the sofa. For the last 4 months, this is my sleeping place. Wouldn't be able even to sacrifice 1 or 2 days to come and do what I'm doing, but would be over there pointing the finger and saying, shame on you, you should have put the mask on and gone to the hospital. Well, the fact that I am here, it's not enough. I'm just using this as an example. I'm not sort of, I'm just using this as an illustration as to how quickly people, like to pass comment, even though they wouldn't put themselves where you are. So, again, on the video that Alex Belfield did, where Marcus Rashford apparently has 5 homes to the value of £2 million or something. And so what his argument is that, why don't you can afford to feed all of these people, why don't you do it? So it's the same principle, whereas somebody might be saying to me, you should go to the hospital, you should sacrifice your principles. Then if I'm not doing it, why don't you do it? If it's something that I should do, why don't you say, all right, sod you're not gonna do it, I'll do it. You see, but people don't actually think that way. But my bottom line is, like, I love life. Life is fantastic. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like I said, I'm just gonna now. I'm sitting here. I don't have my shorts on as yet, but I'm gonna put my shorts on and go to the market and pick up my mangoes. And I need to get grape juice for my sister and some various other things. So while she's not here, I'll do that before she gets back. But we're here. We're having a great time. All right. So our health is a bit compromised and all of that, but the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what my sister's situation is, I'm not going to compromise my relationship with God. And that is based on me surrendering my free will to him and him giving it back to me in various ways. Because the example I would use, let me just, actually I don't have an example of anything that I've made as yet. I'm in the process of making these. These are like I've got this, if I get up, you will see that I'm not properly dressed, so I won't get up. But I'm making this massive, if I can see, let me see if I can pull it towards me. I need to make these 2 massive bolster cushions. It's coming. Oh, bloody hell. Right, this thing is massive. And I've been entrusted with it. I was commissioned to make 2 of these, but based on my track record, that you ask me to do something, I get it done. Let me just show you something. Right, so I made these the other day. Right, and I was entrusted to do them. As well, I made these. These are for the same customer as the bolsters. And there was a limited amount of fabric, and I was, 2 of them, and I was told, I was asked if you can pipe them. Piping is this little thing around the edge. If you can pipe them, fantastic. And looking at the fabric, there wasn't enough fabric, but I managed, a bit like Jesus feeding the multitude with 5 loaves and 2 fishes or whatever, right? I'm not, well, I know there are people who think, oh, you think you're like Jesus. No, I'm not saying that. That's my sense of humor there. Right, so I basically managed to get the 2 cushion covers and the piping out of fabric that was only enough really for 1 fabric. sorry, for one cushion, but I managed to find a way of doing it. That's inspiration, that's enlightenment, that's whatever. When you deal with God, you find smarter ways of doing things. So, based on my track record that I get things done, I can, if you like, do the impossible, because I just look at, I find a solution. If there is no way, I find a way. But that is with, that's, sorry, that's with the help that I get from the man up there. I give it back to him and he gives it back to me by degrees. It's a bit like some people, some guys, they go to work and they give the wife the money and then the wife gives them pocket money. It's kind of like that. Some people would find that outrageous, but it works for them. So you know, it's the same thing. Free will that I've got is what I give to God and he gives it back to me. Right, so that's how it works. So you're not going to get me out there campaigning for people when perhaps they are in a situation that they created for themselves. Sometimes you've got to let people figure things out and then resolve to do better. Instead of, here I am, a multimillionaire football player and I've got access to the media and I've got a great reach and I'm going to take this on as a campaign. You're not actually helping people. You might be filling their bellies, but you know, you're not, in as much their bellies might be full, but it's you. What about their minds, their spirits? You know, we're three-dimensional: mind, body, spirit. It's not just about the belly. One of the things I used to say with regards church, in the olden days and in some churches, they fast and they do tithing. I've said that perhaps the reason why that was required is because the two things we love most of all are money and food. And if we can deprive ourselves of them, if we can, you know, sort of donate our 10% and go 24 hours without eating food as instituted or as required, then, you know, the rest should be easy, because these are the things that we struggle with. So again, the obedience thing, if I know there are so many people judging me, but I'm the one who's here. Like I said, I've been here now for gosh, I think we've achieved 3 months now. Definitely yeah, because I was here before my sister went into hospital, so yeah, we're in the 4th month easily. But I'm here, and yes, people say, oh, you're so good, this, that, the other. None of that means anything to me. I'm just doing what needs to be done. But the fact that you're going to then flip that round and say to me, oh, shame on you, you should have gone to the hospital with your sister just because you and your principal, you should wear a mask. Well, in a society, if everybody just plays along, gradually, if everybody is so weak and so foolish and just play along, gradually, that's how you surrender power. The only power that your captors have is the power that you surrender to them. And I don't intend surrendering any of my power to anybody besides God, who then distributes it back to me. So I don't actually have any more to say on that. I do have one thing to say. I wasn't feeling great yesterday, and I woke up and I was feeling slightly off. But as the morning has progressed, I feel better, and I will let you into what that's about. I've said before that sometimes when I speak for myself, I don't speak for anybody else, but I've sometimes when I'm not ill, that is God's way of taking me out of the equation. And given that every symptom known to man has now been repackaged and rebranded and given over to COVID, I am sure if I went to the hospital this morning and they pointed that little ray gun at me to take my temperature, they would have picked up a slight temperature and all the alarm bells would have gone off, and here we are, we've got a COVID-19 patient. I'm fine. Suddenly I feel great. Why? Because I'm not there. So even if I was looking for an excuse, I could have said, well, there's no possible way I could have gone to the hospital, because they tell us that we're not supposed to, if you've got any symptoms of COVID, stay at home. So the slightest thing is COVID. the slightest symptom is COVID, right? So I had a bit of a sore throat yesterday. I self-medicated. It's gone. I feel fantastic. So now I'm gonna pick up myself, go to the market, and then by the time I come back and start working, I when they drop my sister back off, that should be around about 1 o'clock. I will be here, and you know, nothing's happened. Nothing. You know, she would have gone. She kept the appointment. All is well, but like I said, I get to. It's not so much that I get to stand by my principles, but in life we are there, and we're supposed to be examples of the thing that we preach. So I can it would be there would be no power in anything that I have to say if I say, you know what, I don't support this, I don't believe there's any pandemic. But while I'm hiding behind a mask, I've seen people doing this. They're shooting their mouths off, and yet they're wearing a mask. If put your money where your mouth is. So for me, you know, I, like Thomas Cromwell, will go to my grave with my principles around my neck. I wouldn't be the first person to do it. Nothing special, but it's, you know, in times to come, who knows, we might be asked to do that. And if we all play along anyway, all fall in line and play along, then well, is there anything worse than death? Yeah, misery. We could end up being captives and end up living our lives in misery simply because we refuse to live by our principles. Anyways, I am done, so I'm off. See you later.